question is no longer whether Africa can grow. It is whether Africa can grow as one integrated economic system.
Public and private sector leaders converge on Kigali to fast-track Africa's development.
We know our people very well, and our people knows us, and we know what our people want.
2027 presidential politics, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, Rotimi Amechi, submit presidential nomination forms to ADC, setting stage for...
This phase marks not only a continuation of the initiative, but also a renewed opportunity to consolidate achievements.
And also tonight, we'll tell you how 6 Nigerian universities are set to become hubs of sustainable procurement excellence as NUC signs infrastructure development agreement with World Bank. Good evening and welcome to Network News. I am Juma Yusuf. Joining me from Lagos on tonight's bulletin is Adeola Kami-Kere. NTA's head of business desk and economy, Benny Adams, is on standby to tell us more about happenings in the business world. Benny, I hear there's good news out there.
Well, the good news is that the federal government is reviving the cotton and textile as well as the garment subsector of the Nigerian economy, producing more than 10,000 T-shirts from cotton grown and produced in 6 months in Nigeria. We'll give you details in the course of the bulletin.
That's indeed great news, and Francisca Bella will be bringing us some of the latest news in the world of sport. Francisca, any good news?
Of course, there's good news because Falconets are set to know their opponents this Friday ahead of the Under-20 Women's World Cup.
We'll get the details later. Remember, you can watch this broadcast live on all our social media platforms displayed on your screen. Now let's begin from Kigali, Rwanda, where President Bola Tinubu, who is attending this year's Africa CEO Forum, has called on African leaders to form a common front in creating a commodity platform that will enhance intra-Africa trade within the continent. President Tinubu made the call while speaking on the presidential panel at the ongoing Africa CEO Forum under the theme, The Sovereign Test, Can Africa Turn Continental Alliances into Assets? Now let's join Musbat Wahab, our State House correspondent, as he reports that the president also had the stage to highlight the reforms of his administration so far.
President Tinubu.
When the African organized private community decided to gauge the commitment of African leaders towards continental aspirations, president of the largest economy on the continent was called to the stage. And sharing the stage with a president of another oil-producing country, President Oligui Nguema of Gabon, President Tinubu displayed his knowledge of the issues on the continent with suggestions for solution to the hindrances on the pathway to growth and development. With the private sector in Africa expressing readiness to scale up for greater prosperity, President Tinubu believes government on the continent must deliberately support them to make meaningful contribution to the overall regional growth. He assured that his administration has demonstrated this with support to investors with a ready example of a Dangote refinery.
A risk taker like a Dangote refinery must be encouraged by the government and power. What I did, support him, gave him free trade zone license, support him in the effort to source the crude that is necessary. And today he is the exporter, net exporter of both the PMS, aviation fuel, and other commodities.
He suggests a commodity platform which he believes will ensure trade and economic growth in the region while also emphasizing on value addition to the resources on the continent.
Now, no one can take metal out of Nigeria without adding value. No one. Gone are the days where you can excavate the dust, all the minerals, and go. No. Look around the entire continent, 54 countries. There's none of us without a particular commodity available in the country or the other. Why not start an exchange commodity platform where we can trade with one another?
President Tinubu also highlighted various transformative reforms of his administration, which he said are yielding results in the agriculture, telecommunications, infrastructure development, among other sectors.
Removing all the bottlenecks, giving you necessary incentives for direct foreign investment into the country. This year alone, I can beat my chest that Nigeria is attracting close to $20 billion foreign direct investment. It's because unwind the bottlenecks, be efficient, be transparent, be open.
President Tinubu and his co-panelists say African leaders must rise and support their expressions with actions to grow Africa and ensure more respect for the continent on the global stage. From Kigali, Musbah Wahab, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the annual Africa CEO Forum opened in Kigali with leaders calling for renewed will and determination to leverage the competitive advantage in Africa in order to fast-track development across the continent. State House correspondent Musbah Wahab again reports that it was a convergence of interest from both public and private sector leaders who all insisted on a better state for Africa on the global stage.
President of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
President Bola Tinubu was one of the leaders selected as special guest on this stage, where about 2,800 participants gathered for issues of concern.
Ladies and gentlemen, kindly take your seats. We're about to start.
Fresh from the renewed determination in Nairobi for self-development in Africa, these leaders on another platform in Kigali are interrogating the reality on the continent.
So why is Africa always at a disadvantage?
It is a rhetorical question in view of enormous resources, including the human capital in abundance in the region, vis-a-vis the reality of underdevelopment, backwardness, and in some cases instability in parts of the continent. While the answers may not be far-fetched, the private community is taking up the responsibility of proffering solutions.
Africa does not lack ambition. What it has lacked is coordinated execution at scale. The next decade will not be defined by detached progress, but by system-level transformation. The question is no longer whether Africa can grow. It is whether Africa can grow as one integrated economic system.
Going forward, the Africa CEOs are suggesting scaling up investment and intention to rewrite failures of the past and avoid the future ones.
The talent is here. The capital exists. The ambition in this room is undeniable. What has been missing is execution. Execution at scale. The kind of scale that turned energy into factories, factories into jobs, and local enterprises into continental champions. This decade must be the one where Africa stops exporting its potential and starts delivering its performance.
They believe Africa must rise with determination to turn around the situation with right policies, aggressive infrastructural development, and purposeful value addition to its resources for the benefit of the people of the continent and the world.
CEOs and other Africans, I think we need to give ourselves value of some kind. We can't just be people who are waiting to be ripped off by somebody who is shrewd enough and has the power to come. No, we must be able to say no.
The key word is to leverage the potential and capacity on the continent for its advantage. From Kigali, Musbah Wahab, NTA News.
And back home in Nigeria, the federal government has affirmed commitment to support the Renewed Hope Baby Support Program, a national human capital infrastructure initiative aimed at providing every Nigerian child with structured identity, healthcare, participation, and long-term financial opportunities. Vice President Kashim Shettima gave the assurance when the management team of the North-East Development Commission, led by its managing director, Mohammed Goni Alkali, presented the program execution framework at the presidential villa. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila reports that the Renewed Hope Baby Support Program, initiated by the North-East Development Commission, aligns with President Tinubu's declaration of 2026 as the year of the family and social protection. Vice President Shettima lauded NEDC for taking proactive measures to bring the president's vision into concrete action. He also disclosed that the timely and strategic initiative aligns within the 3 Northeast Stabilization and Development Master Plan of having a peaceful society, healthy citizens, and an educated populace.
I know of so many roads, so many bridges that were washed away during the last rainy season that NEDC decisively intervened. But it's rightly captured in this presentation. We're having 7.6 million births every year. And half of them are not captured in any system. So I will urge you to go and fine-tune this program in line with your mandate for a peaceful society, healthy citizens, and educated populace.
The NEDC is the North Star. There's a lot of work that has been done by the Commission. If we look at even infrastructure, if I use example, maybe a hospital or 20 hospitals are built. Beyond the numbers of the hospital, each one of those hospitals provides care. So there's a community that is benefiting, there are jobs that are being created, there are ecosystems that are being stimulated in those communities, and those are some of the things that we'll be able to sell as soft impacts.
The Senior Special Assistant to the President on Regional Development and NEDC, Dr. Mariam Masha, revealed that the program serves as an operational mechanism to translate the President's directive, placing Nigerian families at the center of governance into measurable outcomes, with a strong focus on early childhood development. The federal government is expected to shed more light on the initiative's implementation and rollout strategy, primarily designed for children, by May 27, 2026, in commemoration of the Children's Day. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. Thanks for joining us. And now to politics. President Bola Tinubu has called for unity, sportsmanship, and fair play among members of the All Progressives Congress, APC, as the party's primary elections commence nationwide. In a statement issued and personally signed by the president, he described the primaries beginning with House of Representatives aspirants and culmination in the presidential primaries on May 25, 2026 as a referendum on the unity, resilience, and strength of the APC as a ruling political party in Nigeria. The president encouraged consensus building where possible, saying it would help reduce rancor and bad blood among members. He advised that where consensus fails, members should contest peacefully as brothers and sisters. He urged winners not to gloat in victory and losers to show sportsmanship, warning against do-or-die politics. The president appealed for special consideration to be given to women and youth candidates, while cautioning security agencies against acting as interlopers, saying their duty strictly centers on ensuring peaceful exercise. President Tinubu also enjoined party leaders and governors to provide a level playing field for all aspirants. Still on 2027 politics, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and the former Governor of Rivers State and ex-Minister of Transportation Chibuike Rotimi Amechi have both submitted their expression of interest and nomination forms for the presidential ticket of the African Democratic Congress in Abuja, ahead of the 2027 general election. Timothy Yusuf reports.
The ADC National Secretariat witnessed a large gathering of party members and supporters in solidarity with former Vice President Atiku Abubakar. After the exercise, the former Vice President, however, declined comments. The former Minister of Transportation and ex-Governor of Rivers State, Chibuike Rotimi Amechi, similarly submitted his presidential expression of interest and nomination forms at the National Secretariat of the African Democratic Congress in Abuja, ahead of the 2027 presidential election.
We know our people very well, and our people knows us, and we know what our people want.
Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
In the meantime, Governor Seyi Makinde of Oyo State has declared his intention to run as president of Nigeria on the joint PDP-APM Grand Alliance. He made the declaration at the Unity Mega Rally in Ibadan, which saw the birth of the alliance. Grace Ayonleke tells us more.
Tagged the birth of Reset Nigerian movement, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, and the Allied People's Movement, APM, forged a strategic alliance aimed at redefining the party's influence ahead of the 2027 elections. The rally was an opportunity for political gladiators to show their strength as the Oyo State governor declared his intention in the 2027 elections.
Time to engage as citizens and not spectators. We must engage, we must participate, and the outcome will be guaranteed.
Earlier, the political accord was formally sealed as leaders of the PDP and APM signed a memorandum of understanding to form the new political alliance at the PDP Southwest Zonal Secretariat at Dagundo House, Ibadan. Grace Ayonleke, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the National Working Committee of the People's Democratic Party has denied any involvement in the purported alliance or political gathering involving the Allied People's Movement in Ibadan, Oyo State. Again, Timothy Yusuf reports that the party leadership described the event which took place in Ibadan as misleading.
There is only one PDP today. INEC has been here, has verified the current NWC.
This is a lone agenda media briefing by the PDP leadership. National Publicity Secretary Jungudo Haruna Mohammed explained that the party is not part of any coalition, agreement or arrangement with the Allied People's Movement or any other political group.
Any person or group claiming to be acting on behalf of the PDP in connection with this event is doing so without the knowledge, approval, consent or authority of the party.
PDP emphasized that what is being presented to Nigerians as a political alliance is nothing more than another desperate attempt to mislead the party members and supporters. PDP assured all aspirants, party faithful, stakeholders and Nigerians that the PDP remains strong, united and fully prepared to participate in the 2027 general election without any legal or political impediments. Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
Now let's bring you up to speed with other news making the round as 6 universities representing Nigeria's 6 geopolitical zones are to benefit from the Sustainable Procurement, Environmental and Social Standards Enhancement, additional financing project aimed at strengthening institutional capacity and improving procurement standards in Nigerian tertiary institutions. Christiana Akande reports that concerned parties converge on Abuja to cross the T's and dot the I's.
The project, a collaborative program of Bureau of Public Procurement, Ministries of Finance, Environment, Women, and supported by the World Bank, is designed to deepen professional competence in procurement, environmental and social safeguards across public institutions. The Executive Secretary, National Investors Commission, Professor Abdullah Yusuf Ribado, notes that the additional financing would expand the scope of the program, strengthen training, infrastructure, and enhance capacity of institutions to meet international standards in sustainable procurement practices.
This phase marks not only a continuation of the initiative, but also a renewed opportunity to consolidate achievements, scale impacts, and deepen sustainability measures across the participating institutions.
The additional financing is including implementation of end-to-end full-fledged electronic procurement system at the federal level initially, which will be later on rolled out in the state level.
This project has indeed achieved its set objectives, minding all the other challenges, including the buy-in and the support of our various collaborators.
Representatives of the participating institutions pledged to meet agreed performance benchmarks, ensure prudent utilization of project resources, compliance, and delivery of agreed terms.
Still on education, members of the Colleges of Education Academic Staff Union say addressing the challenge of decline in candidates' applications for teacher education and agricultural sciences courses may require more incentives beyond the new JAMB waiver policy. Olainko Ojo reports.
Dual mandate policy and structure assented by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on June 12, 2023, has the potential to address the nation's teacher deficit while maintaining the Nigerian Certificate in Education (NCE) as the minimum teaching qualification. This is according to members of the Colleges of Education Academic Staff Union. To further ensure continuity in teacher education and boost enrollment, the federal government at the recently concluded 2026 JAMB policy meeting with stakeholders announced the exemption of candidates seeking admission into NCE, non-technical, agricultural and agriculture-related programs from writing the Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination, UTME.
Candidates seeking admission into the NCE program who possess a minimum of 4 credits will no longer be required to sit for the UTME.
While calling for incentive for students pursuing NCE programs, President of the Union, Dr. Ahmed Baza, noted that the Union was not consulted before the pronouncement.
The Union got the information. We will engage tomorrow. We are having an emergency National Executive Council meeting, National Officers Council meeting, and the former President to make a public statement on the position of the Union.
While lauding present administration's stride in the sector, the Union expressed concern over prevailing socio-economic realities in the country. Olainka Ojo, NTA News.
Moving on, the Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC, says it has noted recent public concerns regarding the quality of telecommunication services in parts of the country. In a statement, the head public affairs, Nena Ukoha, says the commission recognizes the frustration experienced by consumers when calls drop, internet speed slows down, data services become unstable, as well as times when service disruptions affect daily activities. It says over the past 2 years, the agency has intensified monitoring of mobile network operators, internet service providers, and tower companies. NCC says in 2025 alone, mobile network operators invested over 2.13 trillion in network infrastructure and upgrades, while tower companies invested an additional 373.8 billion naira across the country. The Commission pledged commitment to ensuring that Nigerians enjoy reliable, affordable, and high-quality telecommunications services. And Nigeria's drive to reposition its tourism and hospitality industry has received a major boost with the induction ceremony and formal inauguration of the Hospitality and Tourism Sector Skills Council. Arts and Culture correspondent Gufan Shaji Ugwanyi reports that the initiative aligns with the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, which seeks to diversify the economy through tourism, culture, and the creative industry.
This event marks what stakeholders describe as a defining moment for Nigeria's tourism ecosystem, as government emphasizes the need for standards, certification, workforce development, and institutional coordination.
To eliminate anything that has quack practices and unprofessional conduct, and to fish all that out, and to enhance service delivery and consumer confidence, and to align Nigeria's tourism workforce with global best practices and international competitiveness.
We are committed to making tourism a key
driver of economic diversification, sustainable growth, and massive job creation.
Lives in a well-trained workforce, strong institutional partnerships, and a shared commitment to excellence.
Today, countries earn billions of dollars annually from tourism, films, music, fashion, food, festivals, heritage sites, and digital creative content. Nigeria possesses all of this in abundance.
Newly inducted personnel were urged to uphold professionalism, innovation, discipline, and customer excellence as ambassadors of the industry. In Abuja, Gufan Shaji Ugwaini, NTA News.
Thank you, Gufan. President Bola Tinubu has congratulated Benue State Governor Reverend Father Hyacinth Alia on his 60th birthday, praising his transformative leadership and describing his political journey as faith made manifest. In a signed statement, President Tinubu highlighted several achievements under Governor Alia's watch, including the establishment of tomato, fruit juice, beer, nylon, and polythene factories, as well as a large-scale bakery in Benue State. He also cited iconic underpasses in Makudi and Boko, a new University of Agriculture, Science and Technology, and upgraded facilities at the Benue State University Teaching Hospital. President Tinubu commended the governor's peace-building initiatives and efforts to foster unity, adding that Governor Alia has demonstrated that when the pulpit comes to power, positive change is possible. He encouraged the governor to sustain security and welfare programs and wished him continued good health and strength. Time now to join Adeola in our Lagos studio for news making the rounds in that axis. Hello, Adeola.
Hello, Jumai. The 2026 edition of the Nigeria Prize for Science and Innovation, sponsored by Nigeria LNG Limited, has officially entered the adjudication stage following the handover of entries to the advisory board in Lagos. This year's competition focuses on innovative solutions in artificial intelligence, information and communication technology, and other digital technologies. Lynn Leneke witnessed the official presentation of the entries to the advisory board of the Nigeria Prize for Science and Innovation in Lagos.
Nigeria. It proves that there is a hunger in this country for research, for innovation, discovery, and recognition. It further proves that we need platforms such as the prize that elevate scientific endeavor, transforming opportunities and ideas into impact. It is important that we use these platforms to show that Africa, and more specifically Nigeria, is still in the business of scientific research.
Chairman of the advisory board, Professor Bat Naji, said the initiative is designed to encourage both research-driven innovations and practical field-tested solutions capable of delivering measurable impact across different sectors of the economy. This year, we have beaten last year's record and all other records since the inception of the prize in 2004. The sheer volume of the entries we have received is a testament to the fact that the spirit of innovation in this Nigeria-supported prize is thriving. 437 valid entries received this year. The NLNG team expressed optimism that the competition would produce outstanding innovations that meet the required standards, ultimately delivering a deserving winner. In Lagos, Lynn Leneke, NTA News.
1,573 new members have been inducted into the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management of Nigeria, CIPM, with a charge to be agents of strategic change in their workplaces. The theme of this year's induction ceremony is Rewriting the Workplace, HR Strategies for Engaging and Empowering a Multi-Generational Workforce. Larry Belay has more.
This induction of new members into the apex body of human resources management in the country is the 78th, welcoming the inductees into the fold. President and chairman of CIPM Governing Council charged the new members to be the professionals that bridge the gaps in the now digital ecosystem of workplace.
You need to learn, how to do your job, for example. Now, so what professional certification then does is that those things that you are not taught in the four walls of the university, are things that you are taught, well, on the job, and through learnings that these professional institutes provide.
We are actually changing the landscape of the work environment. It is important for us as an institute that all our members uphold our standards, our values, and make valuable contributions to the organizations that they represent.
Guest speaker at the ceremony emphasized the importance of managing different generational dispositions at work.
There are certain values, there are certain traits that every generation brings to the table that would also help to make the difference in the organization.
Outstanding members during the induction exams were also recognized.
Right, I've worked with quite a number of people who struggle with anxiety as a psychologist, so I think that was where the passion came through.
It's going to bring an improvement in the way of collating data for decision making.
The newly inducted members were grouped into executive route with 65 full members, HR practitioners route with 420 associates, and professional examination route with 1,088 associates. In Lagos, Lanre Beleyi, NTA News.
And that's it from Lagos. The network news continues with Busy Benny on the business side of the bulletin when we return from this break.
It's time to talk business. I'll start by telling you that the National Insurance Commission, NICOM, says it will not hesitate to prosecute anyone found guilty of producing or selling fake insurance documents in a renewed crackdown on insurance fraud across the country. Musa Abubakar reports.
Nigeria, concerns are growing over the circulation of fake third-party motor insurance certificates, a development that leaves many accident victims without compensation when claims arise. In a joint operation with the Nigeria Police Force, some business center operators allegedly involved in the production of counterfeit motor insurance certificates were apprehended near the VIO office in Mabushi, Abuja, signaling a stronger crackdown.
We have made arrests today, and we are going to make sure that anyone found involved will be prosecuted. There's a resolution of NICOM, and the commissioner, he has that passion and that commitment.
Dr. Talmis Usman says the commission is stepping up enforcement to ensure all new policies are in circulation. In Abuja, Musa Abubakar, NTA News.
Now looking at the markets, investors on the Nigerian exchange took a bit of a breather today following a very busy Wednesday. The market slowed down significantly as the total value of shares traded dropped by more than half. Despite the quieter atmosphere, the total worth of the market remains a massive 161.7 trillion naira. The market was relatively balanced today. 133 companies were actively traded by investors. Red Star Express was the star of the show. Their share price jumped by 18.59%, meaning anyone holding their stock saw a nice gain, closing at 31.90 naira. Other notable winners included Cornerstone Insurance and Austin Lars, both seeing double-digit growth. That is it on business at this time. Jumai, you can take it from here.
Thank you, Busy Benny. Now, the federal government, in partnership with cotton, textile and garment producers, are set to create more than 6,000 jobs across farming, aggregation, gaining and logistics. This was at the unveiling of Phase 1 of the CTG Industrial Transformation Program in Abuja by the Minister of State Industry. Let's join Benny Adams as he brings us details.
Data shows Nigeria imports between $5 and $6 billion worth of textiles every year. In a country that has cotton farmers, textile mills, garment factories, and a domestic apparel market estimated between $7 and $10 billion. But this is about to change as Minister of State Industry, John Owen Eno, unveils a revival campaign that seeks to replace imports from textile to finished garment.
May 29, 2023, the president at Eagle Square, when he was sworn in, he committed to a Nigerian industrial policy. February 17, 2026, we delivered on that policy. It was a promise that was made, a promise kept. So the value chain activation pilot milestone event that we have today is just the beginning.
For us, we've made commitments to start to finance smaller farmers for this pilot phase activation that Dr. Mr. talked about. And once the fund is, available, we will do what we know how to do best.
Last order with supply in, they were close to sending an order to China, but they realized they could just make it here, and that's the value we're creating for the country.
We want support for irrigation, full mechanization, technology. With technology, you are sure of the right quality.
The roadmap from pilot to scale has 4 phases, specifically designed to bring more actors into structured linkages across the chain and
now the Office of the Head of the Civil Service of the Federation says it has neither approved nor formally conveyed the approval of the allowance to the Joint National Public Service Negotiating Council or any labor union. It explained that the statutory responsibility for the issuance and communication of such circulars rests solely with the National Salaries, Incomes and Wages Commission. And the circular in reference was issued on the 23rd of April 2026 by the agency. In a statement, the head of the Civil Service of the Federation says that the meeting convened on Tuesday, 12th May 2026 was strictly an interventionist and conciliatory engagement aimed at facilitating dialogue between organized labor under its jurisdiction and the NCIWC in order to promote mutual understanding and avert any breakdown in labor relations with the Federal Civil Service. We'll take another break. The news continues in a moment. And that's Network News for tonight. On behalf of the production crew, thanks so much for your time. I am Jumai Yusuf.